Nothing Falcons related to start today's show, but I want to know. If you're playing NCAA 25 and you are loving it, hit that thumbs up button. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Falcons Today. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about the possibility of Brandon Aiyuk coming to the NFC South. Now, I did not wake up today thinking we'll talk about a Brandon Aiyuk trade. We've talked about trades for a couple of straight days on the channel. I had something training camp geared and planned for today's show. But when one of the best up-and-coming wide receivers in football requests a trade, and I think the Falcons could use another wide receiver, I don't think I'd be doing my job properly or doing you guys justice if we don't at least discuss the possibility of Aiyuk coming down to ATL. So some background on the Brandon Aiyuk situation. He requested a trade from the 49ers officially today after month-long failed attempts of getting a contract extension done. Now, Aiyuk, the former first-round pick, is entering the fifth and final year of his rookie contract. It's a $14.1 million fully guaranteed fifth-year option. He comes off the best season of his NFL career, 26 years old, second-team All-Pro a season ago, put up 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, which was only right before a 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown season. And before that, 2, sure, I wouldn't say, dominant seasons, but, man, if you look at the last 4 years and the floor for Brandon Aiyuk is 748 yards and 5 touchdowns, that's probably not someone you're looking to make the second highest paid receiver in football, but that's not a bad starting point as a rookie, and you can only just imagine what, the top of the mountain looks like for a guy like him. Now, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk gets enough credit for how good he was last year. Because sure, 1,300 yards, that's not even top 5 in football, trailing Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I want you guys to pay close attention to the targets that those players got. 171, 181, 164. Brandon Aiyuk, 105 targets. The guy was in an offense that finished 32nd in pass attempts, and he put up 1,300 yards and was an all-pro wide receiver. Brandon Aiyuk was in an offense that was not designed to get the wide receiver a lot of touches or a lot of yards. And despite that, he was still one of the best receivers in football. So if we take it one step further, and bear with me as we kind of get into the nitty-gritty of analytics, look at the last 2 seasons, 2022 and 2023 combined. Yards per target. Khalil Shakir getting 11.9 yards per target, meaning theoretically if these guys got way more targets, they'd get way more yards. Rashid Shaheed, 11.1. Brandon Aiyuk, 10.8, ahead of Jalen Waddle, ahead of Tyreek Hill. Like, Brandon Aiyuk is as efficient as they come. The guy does not get the football nearly as much as his peers do, but he still puts up an insane amount of production. Put him in an offense like the Falcons offense with Kirk Cousins and Zach Robinson, that's going to be a pass-happy offense that doesn't rank 32nd in pass attempts. That 1,300 could turn into 1,600 yards easily. Now, I said all that, and the rain cloud is, I don't think we're going to see Brandon Aiyuk become a Falcon, which actually might be a good thing for some viewers because we know I didn't have the greatest Falcon record in the offseason at these types of predictions. So maybe this will mean Aiyuk becomes a Falcon, but I don't think we're going to see Atlanta swing for the fences for a guy like Brandon Aiyuk. They signed Darnell Mooney in free agency. They traded for Rondale Moore. They've got Drake London on his rookie deal. Maybe they pick up the phone and at least ask the 49ers how much it would cost to acquire a guy like Aiyuk. But I think that'll be the furthest the Falcons get in pursuit for Aiyuk. I think there's a lot more comfortability and trust in the current receiving core that they don't feel the need to go out and not only give up a lot of assets for Aiyuk, but then make Brandon Aiyuk one of the highest paid receivers in the National Football League. My guess is he'll get a 4-year, $130 million contract extension from somebody, making him the second highest paid receiver in football at an average of $32.5 million a season. Now, maybe this is a little bit on the high end. Maybe it's 4 years, $125, but we're not talking about a major difference between $32.5 million or $31.5 million a season. Like, he's still going to get a boatload of cash. So who could be interested in Brandon Aiyuk? I put together 8 teams just to keep an eye on. Some have a much better chance than others on this list. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders, along with the New England Patriots, those 3 teams keep popping up more than anyone else when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk trade destinations. Josina Anderson said the Patriots have already called the 49ers, who, by the way, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported, are not interested in trading away Brandon Aiyuk. So you got that going for you. The Commanders, Jaden Daniels appears to be buddies with Aiyuk. The Steelers need a veteran wide receiver for Russell Wilson. I could see the Saints having some interest because their receiving core is not bad, but maybe they feel like it could use another piece of firepower added to it. The Chargers' number 1 wideout is a rookie, Ladd McConkey, or 3rd, 4th-year player Josh Palmer. Carolina, I tossed on there because I could just see this being something where David Tepper just grabs the yoke and just takes over the steering wheel and decides, yeah, we're going to throw everything and overpay for Brandon Aiyuk because I want my young quarterback Bryce Young to have a star wide receiver. That just feels like something the Panthers would do. The Cardinals, could you imagine Kyler, Aiyuk, and Marvin Harrison? That could be something that Arizona starts to foam at the mouth a little bit for. And then what about the Browns? They've got a kind of somewhat disgruntled receiver in Amari Cooper with his contract situation. Maybe they decide to hit a big reset button and just flip-flop receivers with the 49ers. Ultimately, I think if the Falcons were to land Brandon Aiyuk, it would look something like this. The 49ers get Atlanta's first-round pick for 2025 and a future 4th-round pick. So a pretty good haul going over to San Francisco, who doesn't have to pay a receiver $32.5 million, but they also lose an all-pro wide receiver. So let me know, would you do this trade? If you were Terry Fontenot, yes or no? Let me know in the comment section if you would like to pull the trigger on a Brandon Aiyuk trade to Atlanta. My point of view is, as fun as that is, and this is a fun trade to kind of fantasize about, it's probably unlikely. However, if the Falcons are refusing to pay a nickel on defense more than a couple of veteran DBs like Antonio Hamilton and Kevin King, who hasn't played football in like 2 or 3 years, if you aren't going to spend any money on defense, well, you're probably going to be in a lot of shootouts. So you might as well go full West Coast Mike Leach offense and lean into it and decide, well, if we're going to give up 30 points a game, we got to score 31 points a game. And if we're going to have to put up 31 points a game, Brandon Aiyuk will be a huge help in that department. So with the offense the Falcons are headed towards under this new Kirk Cousins with the Vikings and Zach Robinson from the Rams kind of mesh, it's going to be an offense that passes the ball probably top 10 this upcoming season. So why not get yourself another star wide receiver and just say, F it. If we're giving up 30, we're putting up 35. All right, today's trivia question before I let you guys go. Name this Falcon. He was 9 years a defensive tackle in the NFL. Not all with Atlanta. He was a first-round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs in 2012 out of Memphis. He played and started all 16 games in 2017 for Atlanta, putting up 2.5 sacks in that 2017 season. And then from 2018 to 19, he played for the Carolina Panthers. So who is this Falcon? Pause the video if you want to think about it. The answer is coming up next. 1-year Falcon, 9 years in the NFL, 16-game starter in 2017, first-round pick by the Chiefs in 2012 out of Memphis. The answer is coming up in 3, 2, 1. That would be Dontari Poe, first-round pick, like I said, from the Chiefs. Longtime Chief, played 5 years there. Then he went to Atlanta. Then he went to Carolina. Then he went to the Dallas Cowboys. So let me know if you got the answer correct. But that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to sign off and catch up with you all later.